Welcome guys. Today's story is about Masamune-kun's revenge. The video will be in two parts, so stay tuned for another part. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Masamune Makabe is introduced as a handsome guy who lives with his sister Chinatsu Hayase and his mother Kinui Hayase. On his first day of high school, Masamune witnesses a boy being publicly humiliated and rejected by Aki Adagaki. Masamune quickly befriends classmates Tei Futaba and Kojiro Suri. When Aki finds about a classmate in his class, Akio Tanabe, she reads aloud his love letter and tears it up before rejecting him. Aki got the nickname Cruel Princess due to her family wealth and cruel methods of rejecting boys. Masamune recalls that Aki rejected him when they were childhood friends. Thanks to his friend Kojiro, Masamune finds information about Aki, rumored to always eat alone despite being surrounded by her female friends. Masamune follows Aki's maid Yoshino Koiwai to a storage closet where he sees Aki eating lunch in large quantities because of condition called hypoglycemia. Aki promises that Masamune will regret it if he ever exposes her secret. During volleyball practice, Masamune finds about rumors that he and Aki being friends. After school, while Aki's maid runs to the store to get some bread, Aki encounters an envious boy named Akio who attempts to cut Aki's hair. Masamune suddenly intercepts and causes Akio to run away. When Masamune was a chubby boy in the past, he visited Aki at her mansion, only for her to reject him and call him pig's foot. Ever since then, he seeks revenge to win her heart before dumping her, calling it the dead or love plan. The next morning, after reconciling with Akio, Masamune finds an anonymous letter in his shoe locker with pig's foot written on it, fearing that someone might know about his past. Masamune becomes very cautious around his classmates. He was previously adopted by his grandfather, and his last name was changed 8 years ago. During the lunchtime stampede at the cafeteria, he reluctantly helps Yoshino buy 5 explosive croquette buns and 4 cutlet sandwiches. Accompanying Yoshino to the storage closet, Masamune meets a dead end with Aki when he tries to find out who wrote the anonymous letter. After Masamune receives a juice box from Yoshino without a smile, Aki states that Yoshino has a habit of serving others, though Yoshino is expected to always serve Aki. Before taking his leave, Masamune tells Aki that he wants to serve her, causing Aki to blush. After lunchtime, Masamune is caught in a snare trap surprisingly set up by Yoshino. She releases him and explains that the Koiwai family has been attendants to the Adagaki family for 300 years. Yoshino even offers to help Masamune execute his revenge plan. In the hallway on the way to class, Masamune runs into Tei, who invites him to an upcoming class barbecue. He attempts to exchange email addresses with her, but he chickens out and asks Kojiro for advice. Tei learns that the school beautification committee lost a member, so Masamune volunteers to fill in the vacancy, but he is unable to get closer to Aki. In the classroom, Tei asks Masamune out on a movie date, but he kindly declines. When Tei leaves, Aki suddenly appears before Masamune. When Masamune attempts to exchange email addresses with Aki, she claims that her cell phone is being repaired. The following week, Masamune is sent on a wild goose chase all over school set up by Aki, who frustrates him with a written rejection. Yoshino then tells Masamune that she will help him go on dates with Aki. Tei announces that all her classmates will need to attend supplementary classes for a month if any student fails the proficiency test. Masamune decides to tutor Kojiro since he scored extremely low on his midterm exam. After Masamune sees Aki tutoring Yoshino nearby, Masasune and Aki each make a wager between who will score higher. Aki is surprised to learn from Yoshino that Masamune was the only student to get a perfect score on his transfer exam. Masamune receives a phone call from Yoshino, who says that she is unable to help him in the wager. Later on, Masamune's mom and sister are shocked to see him studying instead of working out. On the day of the proficiency test, Yoshino gives Masamune a black iced coffee from the vending machine while telling him that all his studying does not matter. He starts to have a stomachache at the beginning of the proficiency test, theorizing that Aki ordered Yoshino to lace the drink with laxatives. However, he finds out that Aki was absent from a fever and his boxed lunch caused the stomachache. Masamune and Aki end up being the only students to attend the supplementary classes. Masamune later meets Aki at the train station for a date. He sees her cosplaying as a magical girl, as she believes this to be the first date dress code. Masamune and Aki watch a horror movie in the theater with one empty seat between them. When they eat at a restaurant, a young girl asks Aki about her cosplay costume. After Masamune tells Aki that the first date dress code does not exist. Aki changes clothes in a dressing room. Masamune accidentally sees Aki in her undergarments and she knocks him unconscious. Masamune reminisces about his first encounter with Aki at her mansion when they were children. When Masamune wakes up from Aki's lap at a park bench, she leaves after he apologizes for startling her. Yoshino contacts Masamune, saying that she agreed to help him with the revenge plan in efforts to make Aki humbler. Masamune reads a shoujo manga called Rose-Eyed Steroid, featuring the characters Eiji and Momo, in order to gather ideas to execute his revenge plan. He stares at Aki during supplementary class and offers her an umbrella when it begins to rain outside. Yoshino later tells Masamune to stop being creepy towards Aki, advising him to back off a bit. Because of this, he starts to ignore Aki, even when she tries to return his umbrella. Aki soon stops Masamune in the hallway, consequently being flustered when trying to confront him as to why she is being ignored. He admits that he ignored her on purpose because he likes her, and he runs away after saying that he likes everything about her. In the schoolyard, Yoshino refuses to give Masamune advice. Masamune writes a love letter and gives it to Aki, but she throws it away right in front of him. Aki runs away after saying that Masamune is acting like a selfish jerk. While Yoshino assures Masamune that she will take care of the matter, Aki runs to a playground where she recalls seeing Masamune and Yoshino together in the schoolyard. Yoshino finds Aki at the playground and clears up the misunderstanding by saying that Masamune just needed some advice, especially since Yoshino is aware that Aki likes Masamune back. Afterwards, Aki crosses an intersection while thinking about Masamune. When an oncoming car approaches Aki, Masamune rescues her from danger in the nick of time. A girl wearing a rosary comes out of the car and hugs Masamune, but he does not recognize her at all. The girl believes her prayers were answered for having a chance meeting with Masamune. She is then told by her bodyguard Shido that they are running late. Once they depart, Aki walks off in a huff after witnessing everything. The next day at school, Masamune buys food during the lunchtime stampede, but he is then shot repeated by Yoshino with an air gun. Yoshino leaves after Masamune confesses that he does not know the girl. Masamune delivers the food outside the storage closet without meeting Aki. He is shocked to learn that the girl, recognized as Neko Fujinomiya, is a transfer student in his class. Masamune soon learns from Tae that Neko transferred into the school just because of him. Neko reveals that Masamune offered his coat to her during Christmas 3 years ago. Neko Fujinomiya. He grabs her by the hand and takes her outside, confronting her as to why she made up a lie, though she says that the truth is embarrassing. As Masamune admits having unrequited love for someone else, he takes Neko to see Aki in her class. When a boy opens the classroom window, Masamune and Aki discover that Neko mysteriously does not wear panties. Masamune tries to stop Aki when she leaves the classroom, but Aki accidentally punches a teacher in the face, causing Masamune and Aki to clean the swimming pool as punishment. Masamune sprays water from a hose on Aki, then Aki carries a bucket of water in order to get even. Aki trips and falls into the swimming pool and starts to drown, prompting Masamune to dive in and rescue her, though the swimming pool turns out to be rather shallow. Aki is surprised that Masamune saved her despite him avoiding to get wet. He admits that his body moved on its own, as well as the fact that he likes her, so she asks him to prove it by kissing her. In the schoolyard, Neko asks Yoshino where Masamune and Aki have been, but Yoshino says that she has no idea. At the swimming pool, Aki backs out before a hesitant Masamune tries to kiss her. When the swim team including Tae arrive for swimming practice, Aki leaves Masamune in the swimming pool. Masamune dries off in the schoolyard, where Neko sits beside him and offers hot tea filled with hydrating vitamins and minerals. He asks her about what she likes about him, and she answers that he is amazingly modest, a response that was unexpected of him. Yoshino follows Neko all the way towards Masamune's home. When Yoshino is noticed by Shido, Neko tells Shido that Yoshino is an attendant for Aki. Masamune arrives home, only to find out that his mom recruited Yoshino and Neko to assist in making fried shrimp in the kitchen. Yoshino notices all the gym equipment that Masamune has in his bedroom. When Neko finds the two, she says that Shinatsu just came home and the fried shrimp is ready. At the dining table, Masamune prevents Shinatsu from revealing his past. Masamune complains about the high calories and Neko complains about the low nutrients, much to Kinyu's worry. After eating, Shinatsu lights up fireworks. Yoshino tells Masamune about a time when Aki attached her to a bunch of fireworks in order to simulate a rocket launch, though Yoshino was blind and deaf for a week. Naoko then tells Masamune that she admires Janatsu, despite Masamune finding Janatsu annoying. Kinui and Janatsu also have a watermelon seed spitting contest. While Shido drives Naoko to her house, Masamune walks Yoshino to the main road as Yoshino tells Masamune to avoid falling in love with Aki. It is revealed that Naoko has stolen a childhood photo of Masamune and Aki. The next day in the storage closet, Masamune tells Aki that she is amazingly modest, but she says that he is too conceited to accept being a moron. So, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe and hit the notification bell for future uploads. See you in the next video.